4.0 menjadi tantangan sekaligus peluang dalam perguruan tinggi untuk mengasah inovasi. Didaulat sebagai kota pendidikan, Kota Malang menjadi rumah bagi gigihnya cita anak bangsa. Ragam asa keilmuan berpadu harmonis dalam semangat pembaruan. Salah satu garda terdepan dalam pengembangan potensi insani, termasuk pendidikan. UM memiliki jati diri yang diwujudkan dengan simbol verbal The Learning University. UM secara terus-menerus belajar dan menjadi sumber belajar untuk meningkatkan diri. Sivitas UM harus berjiwa belajar dengan berbagai inovasi yang diciptakan dan dilaksanakan. Pengembangan dan penciptaan lingkungan belajar menjadi karakteristik utama pengembangan kampus UM. Berada di Kota Malang, kota pendidikan yang nyaman, UM menjadi pilihan tempat belajar yang menyenangkan. Visi UM menjadi perguruan tinggi yang unggul dan rujukan di bidang pendidikan, ilmu pengetahuan, teknologi, dan humaniora. Universitas Negeri Malang adalah perguruan tinggi yang mengembangkan sayap keilmuan dalam bidang pendidikan, pengajaran, dan pembelajaran. Kampus yang lebih dikenal dengan nama UM ini konsisten berada dalam jajaran perguruan tinggi terbaik di Indonesia. Kualitas UM sebagai institusi pendidikan yang unggul senantiasa menyediakan gerbong generasi pencetak kemajuan bangsa. Berdiri sejak 18 Oktober 1954, UM lahir dengan nama Perguruan Tinggi Pendidikan Guru atau PTPG. Kemudian PTPG mengalami perubahan nama pada tahun 1957 menjadi Fakultas Keguruan Ilmu Pendidikan atau FKIP dan menjadi Institut Keguruan dan Ilmu Pendidikan atau IKIP pada tahun 1963. Menjelang genap 5 dekade atau pada tahun 1999, transformasi dilakukan kembali dengan menjadi Universitas Negeri Malang yang dikenal hingga saat ini. 66 tahun berjalan, UM telah mengokohkan diri menjadi salah satu bagian dari 12 lembaga perguruan tinggi kependidikan dan termasuk dalam 15 kampus terbaik di Indonesia. Sejak tahun 2018, UM menerapkan kurikulum transdisipliner dan kurikulum berbasis kehidupan life-based learning. UM juga mewadahi pengembangan diri dan prestasi sesuai bakat dan minat mahasiswa. Melalui unit-unit kegiatan mahasiswa yang terbagi menjadi kelompok penalaran, kesenian, olahraga, kesejahteraan, kerohanian, dan minat khusus. Mahasiswa Universitas Negeri Malang dididik dan diampu oleh dosen yang berkualifikasi dan berkompetensi unggul di bidangnya. Mahasiswa mendapatkan pengalaman belajar yang revolusioner dalam mengembangkan pemikiran yang kritis. Mahasiswa juga terus didukung dalam berinovasi dan berkarya sesuai dengan disiplin ilmu yang ditekuni. Sejalan dengan spirit UM yang cinta kreasi, inovasi, dan prestasi. UM terus melakukan kerjasama dengan berbagai pihak, baik kerjasama nasional maupun kerjasama internasional. Di antara wujud nyata kerjasama yang telah dilakukan yaitu proyek 4-in-1 antara UM dengan Islam Development Bank atau ISDB. Kerjasama tersebut diwujudkan dalam infrastruktur untuk menjadikan UM sebagai pusat unggulan dalam inovasi belajar. Sebagai institusi pendidikan yang telah eksis selama 66 tahun, UM telah mendidik dan mengabdi menyiapkan generasi milenial untuk menjadi pemimpin masa depan, sekaligus mencetak generasi yang kontributif, kreatif, inovatif, dan peka terhadap perubahan. Prestasi demi prestasi yang membanggakan telah UM torehkan, mulai dari skala regional, nasional, hingga internasional. Dengan melibatkan kerjasama internasional, UM mampu mengangkat derajat Tridharma perguruan tinggi menjadi berimbas masif dan berskala global. UM merupakan kampus yang ramah dengan generasi milenial. UM senantiasa terus berkembang dan bekerja sama membangun bangsa. UM mampu memerankan diri sebagai sumber belajar, tempat belajar, dan inspirator pembelajaran bagi generasi muda. Universitas Negeri Malang melalui semangat menjadi universitas pembelajaran berkomitmen untuk menjadi pusat unggulan dalam bidang inovasi belajar. Universitas Negeri Malang senantiasa berkarya dan terus berkarya untuk bangsa. Bersama UM, kami belajar meneliti dan mengabdi untuk bumi pertiwi, memberikan kontribusi, gagasan, dan karya nyata. Universitas Negeri Malang, excellent in learning innovation.
Malang adalah kota yang diberkahi kekayaan alam serta keberagaman budayanya. Malang menjadi salah satu tujuan insan pembelajar dari penjuru negeri. Universitas Negeri Malang sebagai The Learning University menjadi perguruan tinggi yang unggul dan rujukan dalam penyelenggaraan Tridharma perguruan tinggi. Fakultas Pendidikan Psikologi Universitas Negeri Malang merupakan fakultas yang berfokus pada pengembangan ilmu psikologi. Fakultas Pendidikan Psikologi membentuk sumber daya manusia yang humanis, kolaboratif, cakap memahami orang lain secara mendalam, kemauan untuk belajar hal-hal baru dengan kreatif dan inovatif berbasis nilai moral Pancasila. Pada tahun 2000, Fakultas Pendidikan Psikologi merupakan prodi di bawah jurusan Bimbingan Konseling dan Psikologi Fakultas Ilmu Pendidikan. Pada tahun 2012, Psikologi resmi berdiri sebagai Fakultas Pendidikan Psikologi dengan 5 konsentrasi.
Fakultas Pendidikan Psikologi Universitas Negeri Malang adalah bagian dari Universitas Negeri Malang, di mana Universitas Negeri Malang memiliki semboyan The Learning University, yaitu universitas yang sangat menekankan proses pendidikan dan pembelajaran di kampus mereka. Nah, terkait dengan itu, maka dalam Fakultas Pendidikan Psikologi diajarkan kemampuan-kemampuan yang memberikan mereka bekal untuk hidup di dalam masyarakat, baik itu dalam bidang industri organisasi, sosial, klinis, kemudian juga perkembangan, sehingga mereka dapat memecahkan masalah-masalah yang mereka hadapi. Nah, lulusan mereka pada umumnya ada di seluruh Indonesia, baik itu dalam bidang industri organisasi, klinis, perkembangan, sosial, dan yang lain. Dalam hal ini, kampus telah menghasilkan banyak alumni yang bekerja di berbagai bidang dan memiliki kerja yang baik dalam bidang-bidang mereka.
Fakultas Pendidikan Psikologi Universitas Negeri Malang berdiri tahun 2012, S1 dan S3 terakreditasi B mulai tahun 2015, membangun kerjasama dengan berbagai institusi pemerintah, swasta, perguruan tinggi, lembaga swadaya masyarakat, maupun lembaga-lembaga relevan lainnya untuk meningkatkan mutu pelaksanaan Tridharma perguruan tinggi. Kerjasama tersebut bertujuan untuk membangun kebersamaan dalam pemecahan masalah secara kontekstual, optimalisasi pelayanan bidang keilmuan psikologi, dan kesejahteraan masyarakat bermartabat. Ruang lingkup kerjasama ini meliputi kerjasama administratif, sosial, budaya kemasyarakatan, kebijakan psikologis, pendidikan dan pelatihan, pemagangan dosen dan mahasiswa, penelitian, dan pengabdian kepada masyarakat.
Fakultas Pendidikan Psikologi Universitas Negeri Malang berinduk pada Kurikulum Nasional Psikologi, KKNI, dan tentu saja visi besar Universitas Negeri Malang, yaitu kurikulum berbasis kehidupan. Fakultas Pendidikan Psikologi mengejawantahkan kurikulum tersebut dengan istilah Holistic Psycho-Educator. Mahasiswa diharapkan memiliki kemahiran analisa yang mendalam dan pemecahan masalah psikologi, baik keilmuan maupun kontekstual, secara kreatif dan inovatif berbasis nilai moral Pancasila. Ketika mereka lulus nantinya, diharapkan mereka mampu memanfaatkan ilmunya tidak hanya untuk diri mereka sendiri, tetapi juga mampu memberdayakan masyarakat, membekali kecakapan hidup, pendidikan individu, organisasi, kelompok, dan komunitas.
Fakultas Pendidikan Psikologi Universitas Negeri Malang memiliki sebuah laboratorium psikologi yang berfungsi untuk memfasilitasi mahasiswa dalam proses belajar terkait mata kuliah asesmen psikologi. Di sini, mahasiswa akan mempelajari berbagai macam tes psikologi dan mempraktikkan bagaimana cara pengadministrasian dari alat-alat tes tersebut. Diharapkan dengan adanya laboratorium psikologi ini akan membantu mahasiswa sehingga mereka memiliki pengetahuan dan juga kemampuan untuk mengoperasikan dan mengadministrasikan alat tes psikologi sehingga mereka memiliki pengalaman nantinya agar mereka bisa bersaing di dunia kerja.
Selama menjadi mahasiswa di Fakultas Pendidikan Psikologi UM, saya merasa bahwa dosen-dosen di sini sangat membantu saya untuk berprestasi. Beliau mempersiapkan mahasiswanya secara intensif untuk berprestasi di bidang akademik maupun non-akademik.
Bersama Fakultas Pendidikan Psikologi, membangun karakter bangsa untuk Indonesia.
Okay, good morning, everyone. The distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, and peace be upon you all in this blissful morning. First of all, the Excellency, the first Vice Chancellor of Universitas Negeri Malang, Professor Dr. Budi Eko Sucipto, the Honorable the Dean of the Faculty of Psychology, Universitas Negeri Malang, Professor Dr. Fatah Hanurawan, the Honorable the Chairman of the International Conference of Psychology 2021, Dr. Ika Andriani Farida, and also the Honorable our conference speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Kanwi Wiwatpanit from Department of Community Medicine, Chulapon International College of Medicine, Thammasat University from Thailand, and also the Honorable our conference speaker, Dr. Ryan M. Nimick, as an education director via Institute Visiting Instructor in Applied Positive Psychology from the University of Pennsylvania. And the Honorable our conference speaker, Associate Professor Hassan Saeed Top, PhD from the Association for Young Scientists and Talent Education Research Department from Istanbul, Turkey. Honorable our conference speaker, Ibu Kurniati Rahayuni, PhD from Sports Science Department from the Faculty of Sports Science, Universitas Negeri Malang, Indonesia, and the honorable, the distinguished participants of this webinar. Ladies and gentlemen, right now we are very delighted to welcome all of you at this online-based international conference for the opening ceremony of International Conference of Psychology 2021. And today, its title is The Future of Wellbeing in Disruptive Era, Integration Between Research and Practice. This conference is hosted by the Faculty of Educational Psychology, Universitas Negeri Malang. And let me introduce myself. My name is Kifarisi Ahmad, and later on, I'm not alone because I have my own partner, Nahla Fadak, and it's our greatest pleasure to be here to welcome all of you this morning as your masters of ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to go to the first agenda of this international conference. It's a welcoming remark from the chief international conference, and also the welcoming remark from the Vice Chancellor of. I would like to invite Dr. Ika Andriani Farida to begin her opening remark. Dr. Ika, can you hear my voice?
Thank you.
Okay, the time is yours.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for coming here today. It's my great pleasure to welcome all of you. I would like to extend an especially warm welcome to our keynote speakers, Associate Professor Dr. Kanvi Viwadpanik from Department of Community Medicine, Chulaborn International College of Medicine, Thammasat University, Thailand. We welcome you, sir. We welcome Dr. Ryan M. Nimick, Education Director of VIA Institute on Character. A very warm welcome to Hassan Said Toto, PhD, from Association for Young Scientists and Talent Education, Research Department, Istanbul, Turkey. And we welcome Ibu Kurniati Rahayuni, MC, PhD, lecturer in Sports Psychology, Faculty of Sports Science, Malang State University. We are happy to welcome you all here today. Today, we have gathered here for the third International Conference of Psychology 2021 with the purposes of sharing research findings about well-being and finding solutions over the barriers of creating a happier society during COVID-19 pandemic. I would like to express my gratitude to First Vice Chancellor of Malang State University, Professor Dr. Budi Eko Sucipto, MED MSI, Dean of Faculty of Psychology Malang State University, Professor Dr. Fatah Hanurawan, MSI MED, Vice Dean of Faculty of Psychology Malang State University, Dr. Tutut Husniah, MSI, Head of Psychology Department, Dr. Nur Eva, MPC. And of course, I would like to express my gratitude to all of the organizers of this conference who put big effort behind the success of this conference. I must say this event is successful because of you all. Once again, I welcome everyone to the third International Conference of Psychology 2021. Hope you enjoy and have an interesting day. Thank you for joining this conference. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, thank you so much for Dr. Ika for the welcoming remark. And for the next welcoming remark, we are going to listen to the welcoming remark of our first Vice Chancellor of Universitas Negeri Malang. So I would like to invite Professor Dr. Budi Eko Sucipto. Professor, can you hear us? Okay. The time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning, everyone. Honorable keynote speakers, guests, international and national participants. On behalf of Universitas Negeri Malang, we would like to welcome you all and are delighted to have you here to participate and share in the International Conference of Psychology 2021. The theme of this conference is the future of well-being in disruptive era integration between research and practice. Happiness and well-being have been studied for more than 20 years. The work of the science of positive psychology have contributed to people all around the globe on how to build the best thing in life. Despite the great contribution the science of positive psychology has provided, the World Happiness Report 2020 shows that fact that there are still many countries with lower happiness. The COVID-19 pandemic makes building the well-being in those countries even harder. It is a big challenge for us to be optimistic among worries and anxiety of virus infection. It is not easy to have a mindful living while we strive to save our loved ones' life. It's become a big question that needs to be addressed, how positive psychology can help people to build happiness and well-being in this pandemic condition. Universitas Negeri Malang, as an academic institution in Indonesia, supports the international conference with improving well-being, health, and character strengths in a disruptive era, especially during a pandemic COVID-19 time. The International Conference of Psychology 2021 continues a tradition of bringing together researchers, academics, and professionals from all over the world, experts in applying psychology to many contents such as family, relationships, schools, workplaces, organizations, society, etc. Thus, I thank and would like to give my deepest gratitude to all academicians who participate in the conference. In addition, I sincerely thank all parties involved in the preparation of the conference, particularly the great committee behind this great conference, which dedicates their time and loyalty to prepare this conference perfectly. Finally, in the name of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, the International Conference of Psychology 2021 is officially open. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much for the great speech for Professor Budi. And then the next agenda is we are going to sing and listen the national anthem of Republic of Indonesia. So ladies and gentlemen, please sit up straight for the singing of our national anthem. Thank you.
Jadi padu ibu
Thank you very much. Okay, before we begin the main agenda for this international conference, let us pray together that we are going to have a very blissful and informative conference. Let us pray together in accordance of our own faith and beliefs. Prayer begins. Amen. Sadhu. Ladies and gentlemen, right now we will begin the plenary session of this conference that will be presented by first Associate Professor Dr. Kanwi Wiwatpanit and also Dr. Ryan M. Nimik, and then the third will be Associate Professor Hassan Said Totop, and the fourth will be by Ms. Kuniati Rahayuni, PhD. The plenary session will be moderated by one of the most famous lecturer of the Faculty of Educational Psychology, Universitas Negeri Malang, Ms. Indah Yasminum Suhanti. Ms. Indah is interested in clinical psychology and qualitative method-based research. Okay, Ms. Indah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm not the famous lecturer.
Okay, Ms. Indah.
I think Professor Fatah Hanurawan is one of the most lecturer.
Yeah. Okay, Ms. Indah,
Okay,
the
thank
time
you
is
very
yours.
much. Okay, thank you very much, Gifta. Good morning, all the audience and all the speakers. It's really, really nice having you here, and thank you very much for the speaker willing to join with us in this conference. As said before, my name is Indah Suhanti. I will be your moderator for a couple next hours. As said before too, we will have 4 speakers, but maybe the one of them just send us a video. So we will watch the video after Professor Kanvi. I will explain this session. We will have 2 sessions in this plenary part. There will be 2 speakers in each session. These speakers are from Thailand, USA, Turkey, and of course, Indonesia. They will talk about well-being and a destructive era, of course, in pandemic era. So if you have curiosity about the topic, please be attentive and participate in Q&A session. Now I will talk about this session will be held. First, we will have 2 sessions. There will be 2 sessions, 2 speakers in every session. Time for speakers to every lecturer is 30 minutes. Q&A session will be held in the end of each session. So we will have 2 sessions. And the first, we have 2 sessions. After first session, we will do the Q&A, and the second session we will you can after that too. I think it's enough for me to explain how we will do this session. So I will go to the first speaker. Our first speaker is from Thailand. He works at the Department Community of Medicine, Chulalongkorn International College of Medicine, Thammasat University. Hello, Professor Kanvi, can you hear me?
Hello, good morning. Do you hear me?
Good morning. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. So you are interested in health promotion, medicine community, am I right?
Sorry?
You interest in health promotion?
Yes.
Community
yes,
medicine?
it's my duty.
Okay. Health seeking behavior, and this is one of my interest part too, gerontology. Yes, and local wisdom. I'm studied local wisdom in my doctoral degree now.
Okay,
So
good.
yes, local wisdom,
Interesting.
but in
Yeah.
human ecology. Okay, thank you. So I read your PPT that sent to us last night, and you will talk about gerontology in now in this situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you have 30 minutes next, sir. If you run out of time, I will remembering you and reminding you.
Yeah. Try to warning me because maybe I need to explain a lot. But
Okay.
I will try to control my time and as good as possible.
Okay. Okay. Now it's time is yours, sir. Please,
Yeah.
Professor Kanvi.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And I will share my slide. Moment. I'm really not good in Zoom. Do you see my slide?
Yes.
Okay. Shall I start now?
Yes.
So, yeah, okay. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. And it is
Morning.
my great pleasure to be here
Swadikap.
today. Ka, sawadika. I'm very exciting and feel great pleasure to be here today with all of you in this conference. And first of all, I would like to say thank you very much indeed, the committee and the faculty of psychology, State University of Malang, for inviting me to speak to you at your annual conference. Even we don't have a chance to meet in real or face to face, but we have to talk and discuss on Zoom, but it's really, really appreciated. And from now, I would like to spend my time this session describing on what we have done and what we are doing and what the lesson learned from my research in aging population. And I really hope that storytelling from Thailand will be a good input for the discussion at the end of this sessions. I go to the next slide. I think everyone knows that we are living in aged society because the elderly person had been dramatically increased everywhere. You know? And in effect, the world has become an aging society. That means the proportion of people aged 60 years old and over are more than 10% when compared to the other age population. And when it reaches up to 20%, that we call completed age society. And when the proportion increase up to 28% of total population, absolutely that we call super age society. And back to the Southeast Asian country, Singapore is currently one of the most rapidly aged society, followed by Thailand, of course. Third was Vietnam and Malaysia. And Indonesia is the fifth country which is sharing the proportion of elderly people. And maybe we are the same situation that we have to solve or plan for the aging population in the next future. And moreover, aging population are also aging themselves. When we look at the population statistics, I'm sure that in every country, the proportion of the oldest old or the person aged 80 years old and over are also increased. Then in the next 10 years, don't be surprised when we have seen a 68 years old daughter have to caring for 90 years old mother at home, or the sibling for 90 years old are walking together to the park for qigong or for exercise, or maybe a group of the 90 years old men are enjoying or discussing or enjoying dinner in the restaurant. This scenario will be a normal pictures, and it is easy to find in our world society in the next future. Then my question that want to empower you before I give my presentation is, living longer is good or bad? Is luck or is misfortune? Okay. Then I think at the end of my presentation, you will get your own answer, and maybe you understand the way how to prepare to be an active aging person. Okay. This is a basic framework when we need to understand the meaning of healthy aging or level of quality of life of the elderly people. This holistic approach is normally used as a basic framework, especially in my department. The identity of living longer is not only to complete the physical health, but psychological and social environment are needed to concern and discuss. And you know, I try really hard to make my presentation relate to the theme of your conference, from research to practice. And finally, I decided to show our community-based longitudinal studies, which performed in Pathum Thani province. And you can see the red spot on the map of Thailand on the left-hand side. It's really close to Bangkok, our capital city. And why we choose Pathum Thani, it's really easy to answer because it is the service area of our university. We have network, we have a connection, we have a primary care unit to serve the health needs of the people in this area. So that's why. And we use a mixed method. We use qualitative approach to understand the context of older person. And participatory action research was also applied to empower community participation in home care management. This is the theme of my presentation. I bring it up from 3 researchers that we did from the past until now. My research will start with elder abuse and step up to the caregiver and how to develop informal care system and service in community setting. Okay, now we go to the first research, which is dealing with domestic violence and elder abuse. The background of this research started with the question of the staff in primary care unit. They have a question why the prevalence and incident rate of home accident and injury of elder person are dramatically increasing. And when the nurse tried to ask about cause and reasons, the answer were unclear and confused. They tried to close their mouth and did not want to tell the story, which is really unusual. Then we realized that maybe something wrong might be happened as domestic violence. Even we have elderly act, which is already announced since 2003, which is the physical violence or domestic violence crime and illegal. But it is still exists in our Buddhist country. Then all research questions shape us to do a community survey to understand the context of elder abuse by using quantitative and qualitative approach. We collected data along 15 communities in Pathum Thani province, and this is the result. We found that 22% of the older person had personal experience of abuse by hand of family members and caregivers. And 68% were identified as low socioeconomic income. 87, they felt ashamed and did not want to reveal the instance of violence to the others. And nearly 100% did not want to litigate. They did not do anything in the police process. This is really amazing for us that they try to keep themselves and they believe that being as a victim was the result of bad karma that they did from the past. It's just like a one past deed of fate, which is it's just like time to return or to pay back something, which is impossible to solve by anyone. And interestingly, in their viewpoints, telling this problem to the police or to the others can be like more sin, because if they tell this story, their beloved one has to be in jail, and their life could be more difficult because they had to be alone or living without family caregivers. Then when everything comes together, 48% just living with hope that, okay, someday their children and grandchildren will realize and change their behavior. and 36% consider that the death would be a result that when they die, everything will be end up. And from this research, we found that abuse is obviously existed in Thai society. And these sensitive issues, the older person themselves did not need any help. They try to keep hidden, lock themselves in the dark zone of their families. And then when they don't need any help, but we are health personnel, we know what impact in psychological well-being, mental health or physical health, then we develop the second research. When the elderly themselves don't need any help, we try to explore the world of family caregivers. We try to analyze the relation between workload and domestic violence. We try to understand the real world insight or lifestyle of the caregiver. Maybe we can find the key point to increase quality of life and well-being of the caregiver. And when the caregiver feel better, maybe the incident rate of abuse might be reduced. So we use the same methodology at the same communities. And especially we pay attention more in the elderly who are living in long-term care and end-of-life care in family setting as well. And this is the result. When we try to understand the caregiver, we found that abuse was an unintentional behavior. They did not expect, but it happened mostly when the family conflict and stress are difficult to manage. And they found themselves like conflict from the past because maybe the caregiver are unwanted child or a bad sheep of the family were reported as significant barrier in home-based care as well, because the beloved one daughter who succeed in education and career mostly move out to work in another area. So the caregiver nowadays mostly they have a conflict with the family and was the black sheep, and then it's really complicated when to take care of their parents when they are getting old. And we found that the family caregivers are also aging themselves. They have their own problems and health limitations, such as they just stroke survival. Some caregivers are living with cancer, or some have partial disability, but have to take care as an informal caregiver and work for 24 hours. So now we understand the context of caregivers. And we also found a new finding that son and daughter-in-laws were also the primary abuser for their elderly at home. And we also found that elderly neglecting were also identified and more worse than other kind of abuse. And this is the impact to the elderly patients or elder person. When the abuse or the conflict happened, or the neglecting happened, the elderly people are unable to follow medical suggestion because they need help from the caregivers. They could not perform daily ADL and IADL independently. They are unable to access medical care and service. And finally, they end up their life by rejection of medical services and treatment. When everything reject or refuse, the basic common sense care come instead. For example, when caregiver fell stairs and needs to sleep, they give elderly people a sleeping pill. Or when the caregiver want to go shopping or to go somewhere else, they give them a sleeping pills. It's just like a drug abuse a little bit until they addiction with the sleeping pill. This is really, really sad for the elderly people at home. When we asked the elderly, they also said that they feel like I'm feel like I'm a garbage. I think this quotation is really clear from the elderly side that they really stress and loss of self-autonomy. They're living with questions. They always ask, why it happened on me? Why I'm just unwanted person in the family? Nobody take care of us, for example. Then resulting in they give up for everything and looking to die in peace. And this is the conclusion of the holistic health of the caregiver. Okay. We can see that the health condition of the caregiver is really need to be concerned and empowered, because only 4.3 reported they are in good health condition. But on the right hand side, even community organization, community participation, ADL performance is acceptable. In this right hand side, we should keep it as good as long as possible and maintain in a good condition. But on the left hand side, this is the key that we have to manage. How to increase the happiness, how to reduce the depression, and how to empower them to do exercise and do religious practice. This is the thing that we found. The lesson learned from the second research, we found that the scenario of older person in home-based care is so complex, difficult to manage by outsider, especially health personnel, which didn't know much about community technique or the lifestyle or the style of problem solving. And this is we realized. Hello. Yeah. And we understand that elderly caregiver, they also have many stress. Then how to reduce and to increase quality of life may be a key point to decrease the domestic violence. And then all my question, we come to the third research. The third one we call how to develop the informal care system by using community-based engagement and participation. We try to search for the pattern of social support that really fit to the socio-cultural context of the elderly. And are there any stakeholders to collaborate and manage this problem? And the third one, we do like a totally mixed method. We try to do a secondary reviews. We try to summarize from previous research as a set of knowledge and evidence to show the community. We do more a case study. We try to do a participatory action research. We sharing all information. We bring the case study to share their sorrow, and we divided into three small groups for community planning, and we try to do a quasi experiment. And this is an example of community profile. When we understand the context of the community and the family of the elderly people, we understand that the caregiver, they really want to talk and really want to meet the people, but they could not do because of their workload. Because when we do home visit, they're really happy because they need someone to talk to. And 67, they were stressed and feeling suicidal. They are depressed and dementia. And we try to calculate their working hour and sleeping times. We found that most of them could sleep only 4.5 hours a night. Okay. We is really sorry for them because they are aging, they have their own health limitation, but less sleep as well. 95 have chronic disease, and even problem emerge in their life, but even after all, they never agree to send their parents to home for the aged or other nursing home. They wanted to take care of their parents by themselves. This is, I think, is a good social capital in this community that at least, or maybe we are Asian culture that we try to take care our parents in our family. Then they have a problem that they try to keep. And this is an example of information that we discuss, we summarize and discuss with the community. We show that how suffer the caregiver nowadays. 77% they're only living at home. We asked the social participation during the past year. They found 77% only stay inside the house or just walking around living areas. 11% can visit other districts. 6.8 can visit other province, and 4.5 can travel, have a chance to travel abroad. Okay, all information we present in the community meeting. Village health volunteer is the key person in our third research, because in Thailand, we have village health volunteer being as a middle person to make a connection between people in the community and health service system. Village health volunteer are normal people and volunteer themselves to be as a health communicator or role model. But before being as a village health volunteer, they have to be trained by the Ministry of Public Health. And nowadays they become as a primary health care sector, that they can do health monitor, they can do a screening test, and we discussed that maybe they can be a key person for the elderly care, in informal care system. We discussed, we talk, and they make a plan. What should be done to increase quality of life of elderly people and caregivers. And finally, we have three concepts. We have three sectors. First, we have the village health volunteer on the right-hand side will be a key person. They train to be a middle person to charge when the emergency situation happens. Okay, and they're trying to be as a consultants in family service. They can do a primary support and do health screening or health monitor about sign and symptom of victims, something like that. And they can refer to the primary care unit on the left-hand side. The support team, not only the primary care, we also invite the district municipality. We connect to the private clinic to do a mobile clinic. We invite retired professional volunteer in that community, retirement teacher, retirement nurse. They can come and join to be as a friend of the caregiver. We try to create a food and medical supply delivery system, because they work at home, they have to take care of the elderly. Maybe they need something, but they could not find the supply. The supply delivery, we really shocked a little bit, because in Thailand we have many gangsters from the teenager. They enjoy to drive a motorcycle. They enjoy nightlife. They enjoy in something which is inappropriate to their age. And this gang always stigmatized by the Thai people that okay, they did not good enough to be a young generation or something. But in our research, the caregiver said that the gangster of motorcycle support them a lot when they need help. For example, they ask the young generation to buy food, to buy medical supplies, or to buy a diapers or whatever. The youngster can do it instead of them. They try without any charge, without any payment, they do by themselves. Then we also welcome the young gangster to be our team. We try to increase community service. We try to do occupational therapy, maybe to do some activity that can work at home, relax, and get some income, supplementary income. While the researcher is just supportive sector. This is what we did, and now it's on the way of implementation. Everything is going on a good way. We have a first information as like a pre-test about quality of life, rate of social participation, level of stress, level of depression, and everything now is going on in the natural ways. And basically, we have to do a post-test during last June and July, but due to COVID-19 pandemic and everything locked down in Thailand, then I could not present the post-test and to see what increase or what decrease from this project, which is this what we are doing now. How many minutes I have now?
Take it easy. Professor
Okay.
Kanti, you still have 12 minutes more.
Okay, I will finish soon.
Okay.
What the lesson learned we got from the third research, we realized first, basically we afraid that sensitive issue and in private condition, especially elder abuse, community can support it or not. But in fact, even it's sensitive issue, but it's possible in practice. Academic research is just outsider and unable to understand community context. But community profile should be clear and try to identify key person and stakeholder carefully, because when I'm start this project, they have so many politicians said they want to come and join, but we did not want the natural way into the politic way. Then I said, okay, thank you, but if you need to support, just contact the district municipality, and this is just the way of people try to do by themselves. So now come to the question that I asked you at the beginning. The lesson learned from tree research. If I would like to suggest to enjoy living in aging society when you are aged, because we are aging soon. Everyone has to be aging. And the lesson learned from my research, we found that family conflict, low socioeconomic status, lack of health condition, and stress or depression can play a significant factors for inequality of life of the elderly. Then what I'm learned from tree research into practice and summarize as a social suggestion is try to have your own income even you are retired. Try to have supplement of occupation even you are aged. You have to have income. When you have the income, you have a chance to negotiate with your family members. And if you stay in the next future, you have to prepare your health condition. Try to fit and firm since you are younger age. Try to exercise, have a good living lifestyle, and don't forget to do physical check-up. And try to have a hobby. Otherwise, when you getting old, when you sick, when when it sick comes severe, you could not manage at that time. And you have to plan for a successful aging. You have to save enough money when you are younger age. You have to create your own properties. You have to have health insurance. Otherwise, when you are getting old, you have to depend on your family members. And in the future, we are falling in the trap of economic development. Maybe they have to work outside. You have to have your own property and your money. You could not expect anyone or family member to take care of you. And for yourself, you have to be sympathy and empathy and mindfulness. You have, when you're getting old, you have to change yourself to understand the concept of social and cultural transition. Everything can be changed. You have to accept a new innovation. You have to accept a new lifestyle of a younger age. Because our research, we found that the conflict of the family maybe come from the elderly unacceptable the new way of living of a young generation, and then create a conflict. And you have to be nice of the person as well. And for the next thing I said, I would like to empower you that, trust me, in the future, you will become a caregiver for sure, to take care of your family, your parents, or your siblings, or other person. Then health literacy is really important in nowadays. You have to have skill for knowledge and technique to search for health information, and try to keep contact with family members. Even the extended family has been changed to nuclear family and to single family. Rate of marriage is really low, but you have to try to keep the contact and try to join the community event to make a social relationship. Maybe they can support you when you need help. And social interaction is, if you have a chance, we have to speak up for the elderly people who has no voice. This is a suggestion and recommendation to prepare you and to warn the young generation not to suffer as my respondent, because rapid change or demographic transition was happened really fast in Thailand. We never prepare anything for aging society. We prepare not enough. When everything happen or any problem, we have to do a research and solve step by step. And now I got some information to warn a younger age. Then the younger age, this is the way to prepare yourself. And this is the thing that, like, I try to make a final conclusion. Individuals have to prepare and have to be ready for any change in the next futures. Household or family have to, neighborhood, community, and society or policy have to work together. And who knows, maybe next year, when we get the result of our model, I will come and share you again. This is just a short brief of my presentation related to 3 researchers that I did from the past until now. And if you need more information or if you have a question, we can discuss later. Thank you very much for, and hope you get my point, understand my presentation. And thank you. And I would like to give the floor to the moderator.
Okay, thank you, Professor Kanfi.
Yeah.
Yes, I have similar experience with your research. Yeah, I'm a caregiver of my parents, and I will be there too sometimes. So I have to underline your sentence about we have to have a big sympathy, empathy, and mindfulness, and still open to many more adaptation and changing in maybe next year's next time, and many more time for me, it's very important. So thank you, Professor Kanfi, for this session.
Thank you.
Please stay there. Don't go
Yeah, I'm
anywhere.
trying.
Patient, please, because we still have a next speaker, and then we take a Q&A session for
Yeah.
you and the session. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Kanfi.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, for the audience, before I go to the next speaker, I want to give reminder to you once again. If you already have a question for Professor Kanfi, please write in Zoom chat. The conference crew will give the question format in Zoom chat. I think there is a format question in Zoom chat. Now we move to our second speaker in this session. He is from Cincinnati, USA. He works as consultant, educator, and psychologist. He has interest in positive psychology. His name is Sir Ryan M. Niemiec, doctor in psychology. But we are very sorry, due to technical reason and huge different time between Cincinnati and Indonesia, he cannot be in Zoom live with us now. So he sent to us a video about his lecturer. We will present to the audience for almost 30 minutes. Please have a good lecture, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the video. Gifta, can you show the video, please?
Already presented, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Dr. Ryan Niemiec, and I'm a psychologist and the education director of the VIA Institute on Character. And I'm just so delighted to be here offering this keynote to your wonderful conference, the International Conference of Psychology, and in wonderful Indonesia. I wish I could be there in person with all of you, maybe someday, but grateful and humbled to be here presenting in this way. And I want to also share some gratitude to Noor Eva and to the scientific committee who invited me to be here. So thank you very much for that as well. And I've enjoyed meeting different people from Indonesia at some of the different international Positive Psychology Association conferences that have taken place over the years. So perhaps we'll continue to look forward to future connections at these conferences. Now, I wanted to point out that the theme for your conference is so perfectly aligned with the conversation we'll be having here on character strengths. So my understanding is the theme of your conference is the future of well-being in a disruptive era, integrating research and practice. And this is a big concern for all of us at this time with COVID. It couldn't be a more disruptive era, and so much uncertainty and volatility and confusion and stress and loneliness and depression and difficulties, and all of the above. And we really need, now more than ever, our character strengths to be able to help us through this. And in fact, there's been some research coming out that character strengths have been very, very helpful at this time of COVID. There's been several studies of this already. And also the second part of your theme of integrating research and practice, that's exactly what we see ourselves at the VIA Institute, what we do, which is to, in my job as the education director, which is to understand what research is happening anywhere in the world with character strengths, and what are the best practices with character strengths, and to create a bridge between those two. So to create a way for researchers to connect with practitioners and practitioners to connect with researchers, and even more so to be that bridge. So to share with people around the world, like right here in this keynote, on the application of character strengths based in the science, and to be able to think about how that can play out in organizations, in schools, in families, in communities, in coaching, in counseling, in one-on-one situations, and so on. So that's what my job is as the education director, to try to act as that bridge. So before moving forward, I think I should share something else about myself. So, first of all, on the academic front, I've tried to be very active in my writing. So I've written over 10 books on these topics, over 100 scholarly, academic, peer-reviewed articles, hundreds of blog-friendly, user-friendly articles for people, and over 1,000 presentations. And I also really spend my time catalyzing new research, connecting with researchers, but also connecting with practitioners and educators, and then trying to offer this to people through keynote addresses, through workshops, through ongoing programs, and really trying to stay, very close to the pulse of what's happening in the science of positive psychology and what's happening in the science and practice of character strengths. So I hope in this presentation to be able to offer some of that, some of the things that I've learned over the years working at VIA. But let me share something else on a personal front, which I've never had the chance to share before because it's unique to Indonesia. And that is that I am obsessed with Komodo dragons. So this is just a little fun anecdote for you, but so I am obsessed with these creatures, and you might know that the only place in the world that they can be found is Indonesia. And out of the 17,508 islands of Indonesia, there are 5 islands that have Komodo dragons. The island of Komodo, Rinca, Flores, Gil Montang, and Gil Dasami, with Rinca, I think, being the most prominent. So I use an extraordinary amount of curiosity, one of my highest strengths, curiosity, as I express a great interest and fascination with these creatures, and a sense of love of learning, another one of my character strengths. Love of learning about the creatures, learning that the largest, most venomous creature on the planet, and the way that they hunt their prey. And you could almost look at the character strengths of the Komodo dragon, and they're very patient as they take a bite of their prey and then wait as the prey walks off and eventually falls apart. So it's not a very positive psychology topic, is it? But my strengths are there, even though it's not maybe always a pleasant topic. My character strengths are there, thinking about it. And yes, I've got my family involved in this a little bit too. At one of the museums here in the United States, there's a statue of a Komodo dragon, as you can see. And so we have our group picture there with them, which is kind of fun. And maybe a final thing is I collect Komodo dragon figures. So I have these figures like this in my office. That's over here on this side, so you can't see it from the picture. But I have 40 different figures. It's just all part of my curiosity and fascination with these creatures and learning about them. And I can't give a whole lot of rational explanation for it, but that's just a little quirky, fun thing about me. I promise the whole presentation will not be about Komodo dragons, don't worry. So let's move on then. And we're going to dig into the what and the why of character strengths. And then we're going to get into the how of character strengths. So let's start, though, by looking at this picture. This is a painting from a Korean children's painter named Kim Jae-hung, who gave permission for us to show this. And so he does children's books with paintings like this. So I just want to invite you to take a look at this painting and just make note to yourself of what you see. So perhaps you're saying that you see a mountain landscape, and it might even look like one of the Indonesian islands, actually. Maybe you see the, you would say, oh, I see a peaceful lake, or some trees in the background, or it looks like a pleasant image, or I don't really like it. It seems kind of dull and dreary to me. You could say different things about it. But now I want you to do something. Take your left ear and place it on your left shoulder and look at the picture like this. Left ear on your left shoulder. And now what do you see? So perhaps now you see the figures emerging from the painting. Let me show you if I draw the picture, draw the outlines. So maybe you see the head of one on the left and in the center, and it looks like the hands might be clasped together in the middle, body going up to the top and toward the bottom into the lake. Here, I'll show it to you again without the drawing. And again, have to tilt your head, and then you can really suddenly see it. Everything changes when you tilt your head. So the idea here is there's always more to the picture. There's always more going on beyond the surface of things. In yourself, when you interact with other people. And we actually need to tilt our head to see more deeply. And that's the metaphor for this character strengths work. To really understand and see these character strengths that we're going to be talking about. It doesn't matter if you're a researcher, a professor, an educator, a parent, a husband, a wife, a community member, whatever you do, to really see the best qualities in other people. Sometimes we actually have to tilt our head and look more deeply. We have to move beyond our negativity mindset, move beyond our stereotypes, our biases, tilt our head and see more deeply. And I really like this as an activity because it brings us to actually have to make a behavioral change, which is also true for this metaphor. You have to make a behavioral change to really see the strengths more deeply. So perhaps you can carry this metaphor of tilting your head and looking more deeply. You can carry that metaphor with you as we proceed through this presentation. But then also, I hope long after the presentation, and maybe we'll meet at a future positive psychology conference, and you'll greet me by tilting your head, to show that we're looking for our character strengths. So let's move into the what and the why of strengths. Why? It is useful just to start with the why. Why are we even talking about strengths, and why character strengths? What's the point? Why do they matter? And for those of us working with character strengths, and especially helping other people, it really is important for us to be able to answer that question clearly. And we could spend many hours actually talking about why, but I'm going to try to summarize some of that. So some of the reason for why strengths is because bad is stronger than good. Over and over again, researchers have looked at bad phenomena or negative phenomena versus good phenomena, positive phenomena, and found over and over and over again, across all the different studies actually, that bad, the difficult, the challenging is stronger than good. What they mean by that, bad health is stronger than good health. Bad parenting is stronger than genetics. Good parenting is not. Bad relationships have a bigger impact on us than good relationships do. Bad feedback, like if you're giving a presentation and you receive feedback, that negative feedback that you get is more powerful than positive feedback is. More upsetting emotions, afflictive emotions, troublesome emotions, they're more strong and sticky. They stick with us than positive, nourishing emotions do. Negative emotions like anger, frustration, sadness, anxiety, fear, these stick with us, don't they? We ruminate, we think about them sometimes for many days. They stick to us like gum on the bottom of our shoes. Whereas more positive emotions kind of bounce off of us. If we're feeling some excitement about something, some joy, some healthy pride, gratitude, we feel them and we like those positive emotions, but they pass by quickly. So these are reasons I'm giving you of why strengths matter, why character strengths in particular matter, because they can balance out suffering. They can balance struggles. They can balance the negative. So we don't want to get rid of the bad. We don't want to get rid of upsetting emotions. We don't want to get rid of afflictive things. We want to be able to balance these out and to bring character strengths, to have more balance, so that we're not only lost in the negative or the afflictive, that we're actually looking at the whole picture more clearly. So strengths and positive qualities help us to be more balanced in how we look at things. They help us to counteract that bias that we have toward the negative, that bias and that wiring of our brain toward the negative. And again, the negative is not bad necessarily. It's we want to have that balance. So this is why we need, one of the reasons why we need strengths. Another reason we need strengths is because their character strengths and strengths are connected with so many good things, so many positive qualities, all those different qualities we're looking for in terms of the goals that we have in life. And I'm going to share those here in a moment. We can take a high perspective view of the field of character strengths, and we can really boil the research down into two words, probably: well-being and adversity. And that everything probably falls under those two big overarching buckets or areas. So let's go zoom in a little bit more closely, and let's unpack each of those. So let's start with well-being. So here's just, again, a high level view. There are many different areas of well-being that are associated with character strengths, and the character strengths help to connect us to flourishing, happiness, meaning in life, positive relationships, health, and so on. And on the adversity side, the side of problems and suffering, character strengths help us to become more resilient, less depression, less stress, better coping, less loneliness, less work burnout. There's the studies on COVID coping, and help us to cope with or reframe psychological problems, medical problems, cope with different medical problems, with trauma, and so on. So there are these huge different areas that character strengths help us to link to. And these are the types of things that I think most human beings want in their life. They want to be able to manage adversity and struggles and suffering. We can never get rid of that 100%. Some of that is good. It helps to motivate us and move us forward. But still, we want to be able to manage that and overcome some of that, while at the same time, we well-being, boost meaning, boost purpose, boost our relationships, boost our health. So it's a pretty incredible area in the field of psychology, or the field of in which it's operating on both of these levels, character strengths are. So that, I think, and what we have here in this slide really captures the why of character strengths in another way. If you're interested in zooming in even further on this research, then I point to this, the corner here of the slide here, which is to the researchers tab of the VIA Institute website. So the top part is the banner to the VIA website. It's www.viacharacter.org. And then you would go to that researchers tab, and you would click on research summaries, and you'll immediately see over 800 summarized research studies on character strengths. And each of those 800 has 2-sentence summaries and the full citation for where you could go, zoom in even further and get the article and read up on it. So we can just keep going closer and closer with this work to learn more and more about character strengths and the character science. By the way, at that researchers tab, you'll see that there are many subcategories. So you can click on character strengths in health. You can click on character strengths in mindfulness, character strengths in parenting, character strengths in disability, character strengths in well-being, character strengths in the workplace, character strengths in schools, and on across some 20 tabs or so. So we've tried to organize it nicely for people. So really great resource for all of you, and a great resource for the field of positive psychology. And so we continue to update that once or twice a year. We add in about 100 new studies every year that are going on in the field. So now that we've talked a little bit about the why of character strengths. So now let's look a little bit at the what of character strengths. So we can capture that with discussions on the VIA classification of character strengths. And so that's what we're talking about here. These 24 qualities, these 24 positive personality traits. And so in the beginning of the field of positive psychology, Martin Seligman and Chris Peterson and 55 scientists were asking the question of what's best about human beings? What brings a human being, wherever they are in the world, to flourish and to live a strong and good and meaningful life? And so they wanted to figure that out. And so they gave surveys on strengths and virtues to people across the 6 major continents and various countries across all of those continents. And they traveled to some of the most remote areas on the planet that don't have internet access and spoke with the people there about these qualities. So they spoke with the Maasai tribal people far off the tour circuit in Kenya. They spoke with the Inuit people as far north as you can go in Greenland to ask them about these qualities. They surveyed different texts on virtue. They looked to all of the world religions, and they looked to anybody who had written a text on virtue or strength over the centuries, and looking for the common themes. Again, not trying to find what are the strengths of the United States culture or the Indonesian culture or this European culture, but what are the strengths of human beings across the world. So that's what all of this was trying to do. If we put all of this together, this is the result. In 2004, Peterson, Seligman, and those 55 scientists published this work of these 6 virtues and the 24 character strengths that nest under them that are found in the world religions, the ancient philosophies, remote cultures across the world, and so on. So very exciting, because we've never had before a common language of character strengths or a common language of strengths. And that's what this was offering and is continuing to offer. And it's become quite popular that there's a research tool that anybody in the world can take, very user-friendly, called the VIA survey. It's been translated into 48 languages, including Indonesian. People take this test. And there's well over 15 million people that have taken this test. And it's what psychologists call a psychometrically valid test. It's reliable and valid. It's measuring what it's supposed to be measuring, and it offers consistent results. Is becoming more and more popular each year. So a 20% increase in popularity each year for the last 5 years. But it's been offered for quite a long time, since the early 2000s. And it's taken by somebody every 10 seconds of every minute of every day. So just since we've been talking here, I don't know the math on that, but somewhere probably above 100 people that have taken it just since I started talking. So, so very exciting and great for me, for you, for all of us to know that people around the world are learning their best qualities and then having a greater chance to be able to use those qualities in their family, in their work, in their schools, in their life. So if we put all of this together and what's been found so far about character strengths, a definition might look like this: that these character strengths then are positive personality traits that then do 3 things. They reflect our personal identity, who we are, deep down at our core. They produce positive outcomes for you and for others, well-being, achievement, relationships, health, and they contribute to the collective good. So they are the ingredients of creating healthier systems, healthier families, stronger communities, and so on. You could just ask yourself, imagine what would your community or your city, your country, your family be like if you didn't have kindness, if you didn't have love, if you didn't have curiosity, if you didn't have self-regulation, self-control, if you didn't have gratitude, spirituality, leadership, teamwork, fairness, forgiveness. It would be different, we'll just say. It would be probably problematic in a lot of ways if any of the strengths were missing from that system. So these are part of that, creating that collective good. So that's why, it's another reason why it's very exciting for me to be here with all of you and sharing some of this. And it's very exciting for me to be just part of this work. So after you take the VIA survey, and I know all of you have taken the VIA survey, you get something like this, your rank order of strengths, 1 to 24 with the definitions. And what a lot of people do when they take a look at this list, they go right here to the bottom and they start to think that these are weaknesses in them. And again, there's that mindset to look for what's wrong or to look for a deficit of some kind. That's what we do. We're wired to do that. However, an important correction to be made is that this test here, called the VIA survey, does not measure weaknesses. It doesn't.
Okay, thank you for your kindness to see the video. We are very sorry that we have to stop video from Sorayan Mimic because limit of time. And if the audience wants to have or to see more about the video about the character strength adversity in a pandemic era from Ryan Mimic, you can connect to crew of this conference. So you can, the audience will have the explanation about how to get the video from the Ryan Mimics. Okay, now we will turn to the question and A in this session. I hope Mr. Kanfi join with us back again. Professor Kanfi, are you there? Can you hear me? Okay, hello. Swadikap more. Okay, you have so many, for me this is so many questions for you, and
Really?
this is, yes, 5 or 4 I think, but it's a very long question.
Mm-hmm.
One person asks maybe 1 or 3 questions, but you can choose which one that you want to answer. Okay, because this is very interesting topic in Indonesia.
In the chat
and
box,
this is,
right?
yes, in chat box you can see. Okay, maybe I can read it for you first. Okay, we will have 15 minutes next for this session because of Sir Ryan Nimick doesn't attend leave, so this is just for you, sir, for Professor Kanfi only for the question. Okay, the first is from Yurni, State University of Malang. The question is, people with that intention often see opportunity in old people as easy victim. So bad people always see old people as a victim. Those who live alone without children or grandchildren often feel lonely. Do you think that the great affection is a factor that makes elderly people easily trust others, thus making them easy to deceive? You can see, maybe you can.
Yes, this question is a good question, which is but difficult to answer, really. Because living alone, we have to understand the reason of being alone. Maybe they're alone because they want to be. Because elderly people or human being is so different. For educated people or for the people who have power of the money, maybe they decided to stay alone and happy with that, even good or bad. But if they enjoy, I'm sure them in our perspective to do whatever you want, because you work so hard for the whole life. If you want to relax, you can resettlement in everything, then basically you have to understand the reason of loneliness and happy with being alone or not. If they feel uncomfortable, then please think in the individual case, because you could not, you can't put, I don't know, they have an idiom like you cannot put same tools on every food or something. Then you have to understand the individual case, because in every case they have a complex scenario. And just try to understand cost and planning and working together. This is what I can say now.
So do you think we cannot focus on just in the great affection, but we have to understand about whether they are being lonely or loneliness, or
because maybe they want to be lonely.
Yeah, they want to be lonely. Yes, I understand that. Okay, the second question is from Mr. Dedi Heri Sutedi. His question is, our study of suicide, this is about the suicide in elderly in Gunung Kidul, Indonesia. This is one of my concern too. Shows that the problem of loneliness is triggered by poverty. Children are looking for works outside of the city, leaving the elderly at home alone. As a result, this loneliness disrupts their psyche, which causes loss of self-esteem, parental care, several chronic illness, stress, depression, and suicide. Is this also the case in poor areas of Thailand? And could this be the general picture in poor areas of the world? How, Mr. Kanfi, is this happen in Thailand too? In poor area?
It's difficult to give an exact answer, because every context in every community is different. But in the way of my thinking, I think the people in the rural area or in the poor country, poor province or poor district, which is really remote area, maybe they have more life, more colorful in life than the people in my research area, because in Pathum Thani, everything is rushed, everything is more developed, and feeling neglecting and stress of the caregiver can happen every time. But the people in the poor area, in the local area, or in the community, which is limited in development, but maybe they're happy in life because they're living in the green area and sustainable society, and they have a community network, and they have a cousin, they have a villager that they know very well from many years, and they can be friends and they can support. I found many cases that the people in the slums, they have Thai family better than the rich people. Then it's different in the context. But everything diverse, people can shift from poor to rich, or from rich to the middle income. Then the resilience that I mentioned at the end of my presentation should be the key, that everyone has enough money, has enough opportunity to redevelop, to adapt themselves to a new kind of situation. Something then I could not say poor people have more stress, or the people with rich condition have low stress. No, I could not say that.
Yes, I understand, because I have a research in Gunung Kidul about the suicide, and it's not always causes by the poorest or the low socio-economic, but the tightness of the society, the neighborhood, the happy community there. So it will decrease the number of suicide in Gunung Kidul in my research.
Yeah, interesting.
Yes, in my research, because Gunung Kidul is one of a place that one of the most highest suicidal rate in Indonesia. Yes, and the first thing is elderly. So the first.
And what is the main cause of suicide?
The main cause of
Yes.
suicide is number one is get slippery in the bathroom is the first, and the second it's because they are living alone, and the neighbors is have a long from house to the other house is very long, a long
Distance.
is very long, yes, distance, and so they don't have any people to take care of them directly. So I think
So
it's not just for
in this case, I think monitoring system or
yes,
screening system should be
yes,
developed and try
yes,
to manage the level of stress or level of depression
yes,
that we can
yes, yes,
solve
I
it
agree.
on time.
So I want to see the government activity there for that, but they don't. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, this is the last question for you, Mr. Professor Kanfi. Okay, this is from Astrid Lincoln Mandas, ma'am or Mrs. This is from Christian Psychology Christian Institute of Manado. Your research is very epic, useful, and interesting. I myself is a psychologist, so I have my concern about the elder psychological situation. My question is, what can the social support team can facilitate it, especially for the psychological needs for the elder who don't have children?
Social support for the people who don't have children.
Yes.
And have to be alone.
Yes. Yes, very difficult question.
This is happened in this is research of a friend of mine. She tried to create a safe space by using a temple or religion activities to increase social integration of the people. Then the elderly people in that village, they can come and join social activities or religion activities. And of course, they do a quasi experiment as well, like meditation they found that meditation and praying in Buddhistic way can reduce stress and depression statistically approved. Then social support, I think, should be someone who close to them. Don't need to invest a lot of money. Don't need to create a new innovation. Just use the same thing that community offered. And then when they are close together and when they have a social support or service, I think they can create by themselves. And of course, social support or volunteer work and praying and religion activity can reduce and increase quality of life.
Okay. I think based on your answer for these three questions, I think we cannot take generalize about one variable to this to some cases for the elderly situation problems, because it's very different in every cases. So we have to take a look deeper and detail about the causes to the elder. Okay, Professor Kanfi, thank you very much for your willing to stay with us here.
Yeah, thank you very much for your invitation too.
Yes, thank you very much. I really, I'm happy because I can see the research about elderly in a different ways, of course, in Thailand sites. Okay, your session is finished, and if you're willing to move from the Zoom, it could be. If you want to stay a bit longer to see Professor Hassan and Dr. Kurniati, we will be happy for that. Okay, once again. Okay, Kwapkun, thank you very much for Professor Kanfi. Okay. Now, I want to say hello to Merhaba, Professor Hassan. Professor Hassan, are you there?
I am here.
Yes. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Merhaba, Professor Hassan. I'm sorry you have to wait for 1 hour more. Okay, this is your time, and I want to introduce you first. Okay, you are in London now. So this is autumn or still in summer?
I don't understand this country weather.
Oh, okay. Okay, so
Summer or winter.
Oh, almost all winter.
They say this is summer, but I don't believe this is summer.
So it's very freezing there. Okay, Professor Merhaba, you correct me if I'm wrong. Are you from Association for Young Scientists and Talent Education? Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. Your interest in children development and disability studies? Yes. Hello. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. Now, can you share your PPT for the presentation, please?
Yes, I want to share this presentation. What
the topic that you will deliver to us?
But where is wait.
Okay. Can you share the PPT, sir?
Do you see my presentation?
Yes,
No.
yes,
Okay.
clearly. Okay. Time is yours, 30 minutes from now.
Hello everyone. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
I am editor to maybe 3 or 4 journals. One of the journal is psychology research on education and social science. We established this journal 2 years ago for necessity of our Congress, and especially my research is gifted education, science education, advanced science education, but our journal submits many articles about psychology, and my ex-university in Istanbul Aydın University, I manage master students, approximately 15 students about educational psychology. I want to present this valuable academician in Indonesia, new trends in psychology research, pandemic, and other factors designed to accelerate academic career, society, and individual needs. I am in London now. I manage my company, publishing house, Young Wise Publishing. I want to manage my academic journals. My academic journals related to education. math education, gifted education, psychology education, educational psychology, special education, educational psychology, and social psychology field, very important in development countries. So very rare academic research in this area. So we can historical view educational psychology in the effort of the explain human process, its collision. In 1950, 1960, important theorists such as Piaget and Maslow, Young, put forward many important theory, but this theory not taking the psychology research. Also, besides applied the educational field, and then indeed we can say that psychology has started to dominate educational fields after the 1960s. We can see it easily in educational psychology history. Many sub-disciplines have psychology disciplines. One of the sub-disciplines is the educational psychology. Psychology explains educational phenomena with the science of psychology. Many contribution important academics developed countries and in 1980, 1990, education psychology disciplines separate from educational psychology. I studied on gifted education. You know, gifted education, special education, individual differences, who students' individual differences. For example, learning disabilities and mentally retarded students. Firstly, these sub-disciplines study and research psychology research, and then separate the educational psychology. Most of academics study on the gifted education. Firstly, start to research, academic research career, educational psychology department. And social psychology, I think that I thought that psychology research.
Please, the operator, please help the voice. Please turn the voice, please. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I continue. I thought that social psychology research very rare on development country. Development country focus on the social psychology research, but under development country, we can see that psychology research cognitive psychology and individual psychology, educational psych, but underdevelopment or development country, a very rare research, social psychology. I thought that we need a psychology research platform and journal. There has not been a rapid development in the field of psychology and the social in the field of education. The reason for this can be listed: a need for education, investment, and importance of the development countries. Yes, educational psychology fastly develop more than social psychology. So a development country, underdeveloped country, first need necessity is the education. Government and policy, many important factor for the educational psychology. But social psychology, however, social psychology will continue development as an important field due to the indirect effect of field of education. This is important. This is very important point for thinking psychology research. And I decided that psychology research on education and social science, PRESS, this journal founded 2020. 2 years ago, we start to publish this journal, and many Indonesian academics support this journal. We want to develop this journal, this empty field in developed countries such as Turkey and Indonesia and other countries. I want to explain psychology research in Turkey and trends in publishing sectors in Turkey. I search, some Indonesian academics, Dergi Park formed the Turkish government research TÜBİTAK, called TÜBİTAK institution. I found 12 or 13 academic journals. Resilience, International Journal of Exercise Psychology, INA Clinical Psychology Journal, Studies in Psychology, Life Skills Journal of Psychology, Cyprus Journal, Turkish Journal of Psychiatry and Psychology, Development and Psychology, Psychology Journal Nesne, Humanistic Perspective, and Psychology Research on Education and Social Science. I am editor this journal. Maybe more than maybe 5 journals, but I investigated these journals, mostly journals newly established. Approximately 5 years ago, established new journal about psychology research. But important journal in Turkey, psychology research, for example, Turkish Psychology Association Journal, Web of Science and Scopus, most important indexed journal in psychology, maybe 5 4 or 5 journal, 20 or 30 years published journals, very rare. But newly in Turkey, Turkish academic platform community established new journal, new psychology research subdisciplines. For example, sport science, exercise psychology. 2 years we publish this journal. I investigate and content analysis topics, published topics, educational psychology and social psychology. High school psychology, counselor candidate psychology, counseling psychology, preschool student psychology, classroom publishing, new topics, sport psychology. These topics mostly we can see that educational psychology, but social psychology, military personal psychology, alexithymia of adults, career choice, LGBT series, one series analysis, social psychology, Western Balkan psychology analysis, 2 countries and comparison about COVID-19 and psychological effects, talent management. I want to develop in my journal, Psychology Research and Social Science Journal. Social psychology research must be increased. Why? You know, especially effect of pandemic, there is an increased social psychology research. Everyone, every psychologist, every human person think that I have a house, I have a child, I have a career, I have money, but I blocked one house, I restricted my behavior and many things. And then everyone thought that what is happiness, what is well-being. From US, one presenter, strengths of characteristics, presented good presentation. And other from Thailand, dear academician, terms of life and well-being and other psychological manners. This is important. This is important now. Social effect of many accidents, many such as pandemic coronavirus. With the effect of the pandemic, increasing development and research in the field of social psychology, it is necessary to examine the research competency, research methods of social psychology. This is important. I am editor and I want to publish high quality research, but I look at directly one article, submitted article method section. Method section, very important section of the article. So through selected method, through results and through discussion. So we need to develop academic skills of the master or PhD students, social psychology research methods. For example, qualitative methods and quantitative methods. Quantitative methods, okay, we understand qualitative methods and some techniques, SPSS programs, one-way variance analysis and correlation and regression analysis, maybe moderate analysis. We understand this, but we need academic skills, qualitative research, especially now. Every educational field and social science field, such as psychology research, focus on community, focus on cultural aspects, cultural reflex and reflection of the some phenomena. For example, COVID-19. The increase in the social psychology research in developing countries such as Indonesia and Turkey. I like Indonesia and Indonesian academician, and I have many friends in Indonesia, academician, and Thailand also. I collaborate with them. I want to develop research quality and academic journals quality Indonesia and Turkey. This field, social science. It's recommended that increase academic activities in the field of social psychology and psychology. I thanks to Dr. Eva and dear academician in Negeri Malang University, State University. This event very important to develop academic research of the psychology and educational psychology and social psychology. My presentation title, I want to explain the effect of the psychology research. In Turkey, for example, psychology departments, many university, there are many students and demanding of the entering this academic department increase. For example, bachelor degree programs and master programs and PhD programs. For example, clinical psychology and high price private university. This department, clinical psychology. Many students want to complete this program. Necessity of the academic field position and normal employment, this position. But I want to focus on one important thing. Psychology researchers, not everyone, but mostly I observed this fact, tend to publish too many articles, but poor quality. So they want to adaptate, they want to develop a scale. They want to adaptate a scale and apply the scale different groups and different culture and want to repeat academic progress due to lack of the staff in this field. In particular, the search for the Scopus indexing journal and understand my article will be published no matter what. The crazy quality of research. Dear listener, there are many academic researchers want to high important index publish articles, but many articles manage only trades, more article, more money, and publish anyone, and not good quality review process, publish, and many psychology researchers want to repeat publishing and repeat progress the academic field. We focus on good project and long time research and research methodology, good and strong research methodology, and this is more important. Finding a good journal, high quality journal, finding a good high quality journal, and then good publishing. Thanks for the listening. This is my Turkish phone number and our academic journal website.
Okay, finish, Professor Hassan? Are you finished? Done?
See you.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. I hope you can be patient more, because after next speaker we will have a Q&A session. Please don't go anywhere. Okay. We move to the last speaker in this session. Before, once again, I want to remember the audience of the conference. If you already have question for Professor Hassan, please write in Zoom chat. The conference crew will once again give the question format in the Zoom chat. Okay, now I'm very proud to introduce her. This is a woman. Our speaker, a woman. She is from Indonesia. She works at Faculty of Sports Science Department in State University of Malang. Her interest in sports psychology, developmental psychology, on coaching and physical education setting, theory and practice of pencaksilat. For your information, she is an athlete for pencaksilat, and she was my senior in undergraduate. So I'm very proud to introduce to Dr. Kurniati Rahayuni, PhD. I'm sorry, it's double. Bayuni, can you hear me? Are you there?
Yes, clear and crystal. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Sugeng Enjing.
Sugeng Enjing as well.
Okay, for foreign speakers and participants, Sugeng Enjing in Javanese term to say good morning. Thank you for your willingness to be one of the speakers, Mrs. Kurniati Rahayuni. Okay, what will you talk about to us this day?
Okay, so today I will talk about some issues, invisible issues almost, that just recently recently emerged in sport psychology and also is in sports science as a whole. It's about elite athletes' mental health. So that
okay, you have 30 minutes from now. I will reminding you if you will run out of time. So please take your time.
Thank you very much. Sorry. Okay. Does everyone can see my slides of PowerPoint?
Yes, very clearly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So for today, I'm very happy to be here, to be able to be with all of you, my teachers, Eva, Pak Bisri, Bu Tutut, and everyone, all the lecturers in psychology and Faculty of Psychology, and also to the moderator, my classmates, Indah. Thank you very much for having me here.
Welcome.
Yeah. Today, I will talk about psychosocial demands of Indonesian elite sport performers or elite athletes. With the next subtitles, is it invisible mental health issues? So before we proceed to the presentation, I will greet Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi, selamat menjelang siang, everyone. Before we proceed, can we have a little bit of interactive session that can you think about pictures representing your psychological demands, and let's talk about it. And please just comment in the chat 1 or 2 words. What would the pictures about? If I ask you the pictures that representing your psychological demands, what would the pictures is about? Now, I will talk about this question later in the presentation. And so this is one of my questions that I posed to the research participant during my research. It's called photographic elicitation interview. I will talk about it later. Okay, so I will also share a little bit about pictures that representing my psychosocial demands. So the first fact pictures, if you ask me the same question a few years ago when I'm still an active pencaksilat athlete, I compete in few national and international competitions, and this picture would represent my psychosocial demands. I was struggling to get a balance between academic life, between my social life, between my family life, with pursuing my athletic performance. And because I'm struggling on it, I don't have time even to tidy my own medals. And the other pictures represent my psychosocial demands now. Now I'm a doctor, PhD, and I just graduated last year. So I'm still in very early stage in my career, in my academic career, and I'm already retired now as an athlete. And having this doctoral degree was very, very hard, and in fact that it took some emotional toll from me, that which impacted to my mental health at that time. So this is me during the last day of my last day as a as a sports psychology student in University of Birmingham, England. Unfortunately, because the pandemic, I can't even go inside my campus. Okay, so now let's go to talk about the background of the study. So this presentation is part of the research that I conducted as a PhD project, as a PhD student. The whole research has the background from the elite sport today environment. Elite sport today environment are mobile and transnational, which means athletes required to travel a lot, to move a lot, to being mobile, and separated from their family, from their loved ones. And why they have to travel? Because they have to attend competitions, they have to attend trainings, tryouts, and so many activities. And they are separated from the familiar situation which they found comfortable with. And the second is that today's elite sport is very highly competitive, full of demands such as medals, rankings, performance targets, and you have to succeed on it. And of course, those conditions could be prone to mental health issues. And this just has become a recent discussion that elite athletes also not immune of mental health issues. So the two athletes that I present you here is Michael Phelps. In 2018, Michael Phelps is the athlete that won most medals in swimming, most medals in Olympics. And in 2018, he revealed that himself experienced depression. And the other one is Simone Biles. In Olympiade Tokyo 2020, Simone Biles withdrew from the final of the all-around Olympics in gymnastics. And the reason is that he had suffered mental pressure, psychological pressure that could, if he insisted to perform in the gymnastics, it could cause injuries, in which he withdrew from the final. And this is also marked one important event that athletes are start to having courage to talk about their mental health issues. I will talk about this later. So to give you some context, addressing elite athletes' mental health must also consider their cultural identity. This picture is Tommy Smith and John Carlos salute in Mexico Olympics 1986, when they are raising one of their hands to represent the human rights salute. Now, cultural values, cultural norms, sporting system, and historical trajectories of one ethnic, one country, it could influence the experience of elite athletes. So this particular situation, this particular culture creates particular meaning making of sport. For these two, for Tommy Smith and John Carlos, who are coming from US, and in the 1968, there were some issues about discrimination among Black people in US. They also human rights activism, and in which they also take the opportunities to raise a concern of human rights violations when they win the medal. And if you are lucky enough to go to University of San Jose in California, there are statues that built of their pose to celebrate how they're raising a voice as an athlete and also as a human rights activist in the Olympics. So elite athletes has intersecting identities. They have identities that could not be seen as singular. They are having a multiple identities. For instance, Tommy Tommy Smith and John Carlos, they're not only athletes, they're also activists. They also Black people who at that time in 1960s experienced some marginalization and discrimination in their country. And if you took another example in case of me, I was not only an athlete, I'm also a mother, I also an academic, I also a student. And if you see an athlete, he could also a father of someone. He could also a husband of someone. He could also a social member of a community. Next is that when I take the PhD research project, the psychosocial demands of Indonesian elite athletes, my main research question is that I want to investigate what social pressures endured by Indonesian elite athletes. It's a very, very simple question, which I didn't know that it would reveal so many issues related to sport in the country. And the methodological approach is qualitative study. So I focus on people's experiences. And the data collection method is semi-structured interview and photographic elicitation interview. So basically, after I interviewed athletes, I asked them to present what pictures that is representing your psychosocial demands, and let's talk about it. And some of their pictures, the pictures that they're given to me, I will also share with you in this presentation. Okay, so the participants is 37 Indonesian elite athletes and 9 sport practitioners, which there are coaches, physiotherapists, sport officials, sport scientists who involved with elite athletes. And then the analysis, I use reflexive thematic analysis by Brown and Clark. Basically, I try to find a themes that could explain this research question, that could answer this research question. So I will explain straightforwardly the result of this project. So based on the theoretical foundations, what is actually psychological pressure or psychosocial demands is. So I took quite a classic theories on coping and stress transactional approach from Lazarus 1999. So there is what Lazarus called as situational demands, which is implicit or explicit pressures. Implicit means that it could be invisible. It could be not easily seen from the social environment to act in certain ways and manifest socially correct attitudes. This is what I call as psychosocial demands. And based on the literature review, I conduct an extensive literature review. So what could psychosocial demands toward elite athletes consist of? From the literature review, and I present them in a narrative form. I found 3 common types. That is, first, psychosocial demands could relate with personal characteristics inviting demands. For instance, body image, injury, socioeconomic status. It is something that they are that related to the characteristic they possess or situation they possess. For instance, if you are an athlete and you have to train every single day, it will change your body, of course. And the body that you have could be different with the ideal body standard in the society, for instance. And the second type is performance-related demands. This is very connected. This is very attached with medals, rankings, performance targets, everything that related to the performance. And the last is social dynamic system demands. This is related with the psychosocial demands, which is come from the circle of the social support. For instance, family, sponsorship, coaches, teams, and could be also the organization around the elite athletes. They also produce psychosocial demand. Hello, can you hear my voice?
Yes, but last time it's blank area, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, now I can hear your voice clearly.
Okay, can I go just proceed?
Yes, yes, yes.
Right.
You can go proceed.
Okay, so findings. This is one of the picture given by the participants. One of my participants, which I just I put it here to find out that just to represent that not all findings could make us happy, including in research. So research is merely an exploration, and those exploration could be never ending. And this is also what I experienced, that unfortunately, the PhD project is just a beginning of another research. So here comes the findings. The first theme that I found is that athletic career is ephemeral or short-lived, or just it's a blink of an eye that will come very fast and the end. So the glory of elite athletes' life is in short duration and temporary. Our participants understand that, our athletes understand it. But during that short duration, athletes have to cope with shifting teams. They have to shift between many situations, many social environments, and including the environments that could make them feel lonely, feel having no friends, separated from their family, while they also have to cope with pressure they encounter. So they also have to cope with retirement preparation, and also there's a real risk of being an athlete is that you could get an injury. And long-term injuries, an injury that could affect to your mobility, to your body for long term, it is something that they fear pretty much. So our elite athletes also trying to cope with those situations by they will try to gaining maximum benefit from this short time career. For instance, get a job offers like being a PNS, and also bonus because governments also give bonus. But on the other side, this bonus is only limited to medalists. So this is pictures that are representing those themes. So the medals. And the medals will give you a huge boost on the social status, social rankings. You will get bonus, you will get so many things. But also in a glimpse, it could also taken away if you if you get injured. So that is the first thing. The second theme is related with the cultural appropriateness that have to be compromised by our elite athletes. It is related with what is usual in our country, what is usual in our culture. The first that coming very, very strong is that religious practice as a coping sources or protective factors, it is something that required, something that almost compulsory. For instance, if you're asking for a person, for an athlete who just win a bonus from the government, what would those bonus be for? They would answer related to this one as well. I will donate some certain amount to charity. I will use them for doing Hajj, naik haji or umrah with my family, some sort of it. And also training and competition required to adopt religious practice or values. For instance, there will be no training at Friday afternoon for male athletes. That is applied in this country as well, in Indonesia. That is the first sub-theme, and the second sub-theme is family role fulfillment as reciprocation to social support. So Indonesian sport management is not yet in a very ideal condition, where all those elite athletes owe some debt to their family to get their best performance. So when they get bonus, they will get some positions related to their athletic performance. They will fulfill their duty as a children, as a child, as a husband, as somebody who will use financial earnings from the sport to give them back to the family. And this is almost a very, very dominant theme in the pictures, because most of those elite athletes will give also gave family pictures related to their psychosocial demands. And another one is compromise to authority. Well, most of our elite athletes, they position themselves under as a subordinates of the coaches, which is difficult in the other world, and the other side. This could be a very, very healthy relationship between coach and athletes, because they have some trusts. But in the other extreme, this could be prone to abuse and manipulation as well. Okay, so there's an extreme on this. The third theme is related to organizational stressors. Organizational stressors, if you are new with this term, it is an environmental demands associated primarily and directly with the organization within which an individual is operating, based on culture and handling. So organizational problems exist in Indonesian sport, and they are influence Indonesian elite athletes. For instance, lack of funding. So they have to train in facilities that is supposedly improper for elites. And lack of human resources who could stay updated with latest advancement of sports sciences. There is a data that there are only at about 50 professors in sports science in Indonesia, which is, this is very, very small number compared to the number of citizens and the number of athletes, and also the coverage of expertise is still in the physical education and training coaching science. There are not yet so many, quite many experts in sport psychology, sport sociology, sport anthropology, sport management. There's not, we don't have many experts on that field yet. And then the other one is poor overlap coordination between organizations, which is also made those athletes often confused, and sometimes finally they also tend to choose a very defensive coping to cope with those situations.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Kurniati, you have 5 more minutes.
Okay, so research implications. So if you have time, just try to see this. I'm not trying to endorse you about Netflix, but Athlete A mean this is gives you a little background, a little figure of what elite athletes could pose from the organizational stressors as well. So this is another documentation related to the mental health issues of elite athletes. And this is some recent publication that sounding the importance of society to organization to understand elite athletes' mental health, including mental health literacy among elite athletes. Why? Because most of the elite athletes, we believe that we are supposed not to reveal weakness. We have to maintain a strong personality in which if there's a real threat to mental health, we could be very, very strange of that experience. We could be very alienated of ourselves. So this is my recommendations to that I wrote in the that I wrote in the last chapter of my thesis. First, aiding career transitions. So career preparation to deal with stages and challenges in athlete's career, including to prepare their retirements, is needed, is required. And this is what I'm studying now. I'm conducting a study on aiding career transition for student athletes. And then the second is raising the awareness of mental health literacy, that the knowledge to recognize and to find mental health issues by providing educational sessions and psychology service to elite athletes. Not every elite athlete lucky to be assisted by sports psychologists, and not all of them. And most of them have, in my situation was that we are, that believe that maintaining a strong personality is the most important. So I will end this presentation with an invitation for you, because I'm standing in the community of sports, the community of psychology. My teachers was my colleague now. So it's time to change our paradigm, medal as a epitome to athlete as the epitome. Epitome is something that representing the best of our society, of our system. So what called the best should not be seen by only the medals elite athletes gain, but also have to be much more wider than that, that athlete as the epitome of well-managed sport, organization, and society, which concern to their athletes' well-being. So we have to change our paradigm, not only seeing athletes from the medals, from the achievements, but also seeing them as a fully human being that could have mental health problems as well. No one immune from the mental health problems. Thank you very much. This is the end of my invitation, and of course, it is a research invitation. I'm very happy to collaborate with colleagues and students from Faculty of Psychology. This is my contacts, and feel free to contact me at every time you wish if you want to conduct research in this field. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang. And I will give back to Indah as the moderator of this session.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Kurniati Rahayuni. Yes, I will see that an athlete as a human being. Athlete is just a part of human, okay? Is it true? Okay, but we move to a Q&A session. I'm inviting once again to Professor Hasan Said. Are you still with us? Excuse me, Professor Hasan. Oh, we cannot reach Professor Hassan for now. So for the audience who has maybe question for Mrs. Kurniati and Professor Hassan, of course, you can write in the chat Zoom. Okay. I think the first speaker in this session to answer the question is Mrs. Kurniati Rahayuni. Are you ready?
Yes, please.
Okay, this is, yeah, you have 3. Oh, yes. Oh, maybe Professor Hassan, can you, I'm sorry, Mrs. Kurniati, maybe Professor Hassan the first. Okay.
I have no question. Thanks. Good presentation.
You have question from Dr. Eva, our community. Could you? Hello.
I read this question.
Okay, you read.
Dr. Nur Eva,
yes.
Many thanks for invitation. This good event, International Congress Psychology about psychology.
Yeah.
Maybe 5 years. Yes? 5 years. I am editor.
Yes.
I was editor, educational field journals, but I know newly, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, Scopus very important in Indonesia and Asian country. Not important in Turkey, not important. Web of Science, Web of Science and SSCI, SCI, important in Turkey.
Yes. How about Hograph and then?
But regulation in higher education, regulation change different country, change the different country regulation for promotion the academic career, academic position. But I want to explain this question. Development country very bad effect this dominance of this Scopus and Web of Science. So many, there are many agents, many trade only focus on trade publishers. Indonesian academic community harm and many good articles, direct and researcher direct journals indexed for Scopus, indexed blah blah blah index. Not important other journals and newly journals and non-indexed journals not develop quality. This is a very big problem. Very big problem. Developed country. I suggest one solution. I suggest one solution in Turkey, maybe in Indonesia. In Turkey, local index, TR Dizin index, and in Indonesia, Sinta index. We develop our index, and independent scientific committee. Our index and internalization, our indexes and Scopus and other index rate decrease must be decrease in the promotion. My solution is that.
Okay, your solution. Okay, thank you very much, Professor Hassan. I think I have one more question for you, but I think your answer can answer this question. This question about, as an editor of press, could you explain the more detail what kind of paper that is categorized to poor quality paper or good quality paper? What kind can you suggest to us? What kind of paper that we can send to international journal? What the characteristic of the paper?
Yes. I want to suggest new academics in Indonesia and Turkey. First of all, we think that we start to long way. Academic career is a long way. And we do good project and every details, every variables, and investigate one good project, and many good quality articles create a good project. We can publish good articles, good project, good articles, good publishing journal, important journal. For example, do a survey and do a interview, and not detailedly, collect data and write articles 10 days or 1 week, maybe 1 month, and then send article any journals, fast publishing journals, and I want to be a good academician. Not possible. Not good way. We change mind. We change mind. But this is a good topic for study psychological research, academic career, Scopus, ethical problems. For example, my journal, gifted journals discontinue Scopus. I was very sad. I am editor, but I don't know about substitution. Substitution the journal, substitution the author. Yeah, but most of authors from Indonesia, substitution. Why do substitution? Self-citation. High score. Author high score, score increase article, high score. One person cite other person, maybe friend, maybe close person. This is not good. This is not good behavior. And then we lost good journal. Very hard one journal accepting the Scopus and continue sustainability of the journal in good index. But everyone want to publish articles and self-citation and other. I take importance now, every details, self-citation and other. I don't trust any person any order, I investigate detailedly references and substitution rate and other factors and plagiarism and similarity, every details. So this is many important problem like Turkey, like Indonesia, dominance of the some indexes, our scientific development. For example, psychology research very important for us, very important. Individual psychology research and social psychology research. We focus on, we have to focus on social psychology research, especially. This is my view. Maybe true, maybe wrong. I am editor. I study. I work on publishing sector. This is my experience, but not good experience. But this is a course and lesson for me. But I warn new academicians, and I like Indonesian authors, and I want to develop our scientific research. So I am in UK. Why I am in UK? This is academic publishing sector. Maybe 60 or 70% of the over the world in UK. Important publisher, into publishing house in UK and US. I want to place this place in UK. I want to increase my academic journal quality, and I want to develop, increase networks, good authors and important authors and good events and networks, our publishing house. So I know in Turkey and like very similar Indonesia, increase the academic research, many university, establish new university, new departments, new research centers, new journals, very ambitious every person. But we need a rules and regulation, strict, and change mind. Everyone want to progress, want to promote only himself, only herself. But we are community, we are Muslim. We need ethical behavior and mind. We have to example other person. Inshallah, we have good intention. Inshallah, we will collaborate every research area such as psychology research and my journal, my publishing house, my congress, your congress. We are brother and sister. I hope we will be strong. We will be strong, and we get accept developed country and import index. We are good researchers. We are high quality research. We have high quality research centers and congress and scientific research. Thanks.
Indah, you're still on mute.
Okay, yes, sorry. Thank you very much, Professor Hassan. Hopefully we can do research together, of course, a good research. Thank you very much for your answer. Now we move to Mrs. Kurniati Rahayuni. Mrs. Kurniati Rahayuni, there is two person send me privately in Zoom in Indonesia, so I have to translate in English.
Right.
First of all, they ask about, this is from our student, what the difference between being athlete in a pandemic area and pandemic time and in normal time, like usually, what's the big difference and huge difference?
Okay. Probably one word as an answer: uncertainties. Feeling unsure. Yeah.
Yes.
So feeling very uncertain of things. So that is the huge difference. So for elite athletes, there is some kind of very highly dependence of attaching their identity with what we call as quadrennium event, 4 years event like Olympics, like in Indonesian context, PON, Pekan Olahraga Nasional, SEA Games. While in the pandemic situation, those events could not be happened. Well, of course, it's already passed 2020 Olympics. They can manage to help the event, but of course with a very tight protocol to prevent the COVID. And so there is a very, very different situation and very, very different strategies to cope those situations. So in the terms of loneliness, most of the elite athletes feel uncertain, feel lonely, that they have to be separate from the situation they feel familiar, like being with the teammates, training with the coaches. In some situations, including in our country, not all athletes have those facilities to be involved in one camps, in one training situations, because of there's so many circumstances. For instance, if you are a national athlete, maybe you can have every week swab tests, and the government will pay for you for the swab test. But if you just an athlete, average athlete, then maybe you don't have those facilities. So there is some kind of uncertainties about the future, about what might bring. And one thing that very critical situation is, of course, related to mental health as well during the pandemic. They feel unsure about their retirements could be, or their financial situation. Some people have to be retired early, cut from their financial sources as an athlete. It is something that, unfortunately, we don't have not a very comprehensive as a research on that in Indonesian context.
Okay, so we have to feel it, yep.
Yeah,
more comprehensive. We have to see from the organized institution, government, and society. Okay, the second question is from Mrs. Koima. What do you think about celebrity athletes? Some athletes, after becoming celebrities, their performance becomes down. What is your recommendation to prevent this from, of course, from mental health side?
Okay, so examining performance, we have to also see from many different angles. For instance, if you are winning the gold this Olympics at 2021, everyone in the world, or the country in the world, will examine you. They will have your video recordings. They will examine your movements, and they will make some analysis to make some strategies to beat you. So the performance could be down because merely from the strategic perspective, from the performance perspective, because somebody else are having their performance better than you. So being a celebrity, sometimes it is very, very too early to assume that after they become celebrities, their performance become down. We really have to see it in a wider lens. For instance, after Taufik Hidayat win the gold in 2012, his performance is down. But why that happened? Because he was preparing for retirement. He is realized that he wants to retire, and he said to the officials that I want just 2 or 3 more events where I can just perform as I want. So there's no targets, there's no performance pressure on him. So you can see that he kind of like waving the career peacefully like that. And of course, there could be happen that the athletes having some pressures more because they win medals before, like Simone Biles encountered, because
effect of the COVID.
Yeah, effect of the COVID, because Simone Biles win the gold in 2016, and of course everyone expect her to win the gold as well in 2021. But the pressure was so tight, was very tight, that she knew if she insists, if she forced herself, he could be failed in performing the gymnast routines, the gymnast movements, which could lead to a serious injuries, very serious injuries, because gymnasts so many dangerous movements on it. So I think we could have to examine everything in a wider lens and look closer and see, considering the context, the historical performance of the athletes, to understand more about that.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Kurniati Rahayuni. Thank you very much for Professor Hassan for the willing to stand here until this session, the final session. Okay, for the audience, ladies and gentlemen, and the speakers, this is the end of our plenary session. Once again, I say thank you very much and appreciate for you all to stay for approximately 2 hours with me. And I want to conclude that because of 3 of our speakers is talk about research. So in pandemic area, we have to see psychological subject in close, carefully, specific, and then make it comprehension, and then we can conclude in precisely how we can use our research to face the pandemic era in the next time. Okay, I think it's enough. Before I close, I want to have a picture, because the crew of the conference tell me to announce we have to take a picture together. So I hope you can open your cam all together with us. Maybe Professor Kanfi is still here, or maybe already left. How, Gifta, can you give me information? Professor Kanfi is still in Zoom, no? Okay, who Who the operator for the take a picture together? Who will say 1, 2, 3? Hello, can you help me? Who? Already? Can we take a picture together now? Somebody please answer me.
All right, thank you, Miss Indah. Ladies and gentlemen. Okay, we're ready to take a picture now in the count of 3. 1, 2, and 3. Awesome. Please give your biggest smile one more.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Thank you so much, Miss Indah.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, Miss Indah.
Okay, so I give it back to you now. Okay, I give it back to you then. I'm sorry. Okay, thank you very much once again, Professor Hasan and Mrs. Kurniati. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day. Stay hot. Don't forget to vaccine.
Thank you very much, Miss Indah. Stay healthy, please. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of today's conference. We would like to say thank you to our conference speakers, moderator, and all participants. We hope the previous conference can improve our knowledge and skills to contribute to the society. I'm Nala Fadak, in the name of International Conference of Psychology 2020 Committee. We close this meeting by saying thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dr. Hasan, thank you for your coming. Goodbye.
Assalamualaikum.
See you again tomorrow.
Thank you very much, everyone. Permission to leave. Terima kasih, Bu Eva, Bu Ella, Pak Bisri, Bu Tutu.
Thank you, Bu Kurniati.
Bapak Ibu sehat-sehat.
Terima kasih Bu Ika, Bu Eva.
Bu Ika.
Sehat terus.
Monggo, leave.